Quiet Place is directed by John Krasinski and stars him and his real-life wife Emily Blunt as a married couple living on their farm, trying to keep their family safe in a world that has now been overtaken by alien creature things. And safety is not guaranteed because these creatures are, although blind, they are incredibly fast and violent and are hypersensitive to noise. Basically, if you make even the slightest amount of noise outside of the general naturey kind of noises that exist day to day, these creatures are going to hear you, they're going to find you, and they're going to tear you apart. You guys, this entire movie I had my popcorn held up to my face like this, and that's for two reasons. One, for some reason whenever I watch horror movies, thrillers, anything where there's tension and anxiety, I find it a lot easier to watch if half of my face is obscured. I don't know why. I've always kind of had this thing where, like, in horror movies I'll often watch through fingers like this. But the second reason my popcorn stayed firmly in front of my face was because you cannot eat popcorn in this movie. It's too noisy. So the theatre that I watched this movie in was quite small. It was about 30 seats maybe, and about half of the people that were watching this movie had popcorn. For the first 20 minutes of the movie, it's practically quiet. So everyone was kind of sitting there, had their popcorn out, can't eat it, too noisy, would wait until there was maybe like some dialogue or some music, and then it was like, go eat all the popcorn, drink all the drinks, and then it would go quiet again, and then you put your popcorn down. And I think the reason that this is a testament to how well sound or lack of sound is utilized in this film is that if you're an audience member and you feel panic about making noise because the characters on screen feel panicked about making noise, then that just shows how transported you are into this film. So the film centers around this family about just under a year and a half after these creatures have invaded, I guess, and they're still living on their family farm. They communicate mostly via sign language, and they've established these safeguards or these signals for emergencies. So they've kind of established some sort of day-to-day way of dealing with these creatures. Also, the mother Evelyn is pretty heavily pregnant, which we'll talk about a little bit later as well. So one of the best parts about this movie is seeing what steps the parents have taken to create a kind of normal life for their children in what is obviously a very abnormal situation. The children still play board games, but instead of the little plastic pieces, they now play with pieces of fabric or pom-pom type things. They have homework, they have family dinners around the dinner table. They have created this kind of normal world for their children, and it's the little attention to detail in these scenes that really brings to life this family and their struggle in this universe. I really loved the casting in this film. John and Emily have amazing chemistry, which you'd expect because they are married in real life, but the children in this film are phenomenal. In particular, the deaf daughter in the movie, Reagan, is played by an actress called Millicent Simmonds, who is deaf in real life, and she was absolutely outstanding in this. I've watched interviews with John Krasinski where he said that he insisted that a deaf actress was cast to play the role of Reagan. One, because he didn't want somebody pretending to be deaf, but two, because he really wanted to get a true sense of what it would be like to be deaf in this world that he had created. And I think that really paid off because it does feel very genuine in the movie. Another thing that's really interesting, which comes from this deaf character, is the difference between quiet in the film and true silence. Whenever Reagan's on screen or we see the movie from her point of view, they've removed all sound from the screen, so it's completely silent. And to me, this added an extra layer of tension because for somebody who was deaf living in a world where noise is so important, it would be so much harder not knowing whether you've created noise. So if you accidentally stand on something or knock something over, you wouldn't even hear that. Or likewise, if you were near something that was creating noise and you wouldn't be able to hear it. and there's a scene in the movie that really captures that, where there is one of the creatures behind her heavily breathing, but she obviously hasn't noticed it because she can't hear that. So let's talk about Emily Blunt's character Evelyn being pregnant for a moment. I had no problem with the fact that she was pregnant. If anything, actually, it does provide one of the most tense scenes in the entire movie. My gripe with it was the fact that the film is set for the most part on day, or around day 460 something, I think, which is about a year and a half into these creatures invading. And Evelyn's maybe 7 months pregnant, which means that she got pregnant after the creatures invaded. We see so much of them putting in these safeguards for their children and really trying to protect themselves and the future of their kids. It didn't feel like a decision that the characters would have made to me. I don't think they would have consciously made the decision to have a child. Maybe it wasn't a conscious decision, but it feels like there would have been some ways of them to avoid that happening. I would have preferred that rather than it being day 460 whatever, it was say day 180, which means that Evelyn could have been pregnant prior to this happening and not known about it or something like that, rather than it being a decision that potentially they made consciously. Not a flaw with the film by any means, just a personal preference for me. It would have made more sense to have it that way. There are a couple of decisions that I didn't like as well in this movie, namely something that happens with John Krasinski's character Lee towards the end of the film, and also a revelation that happens towards the end of the film. Again, not flaws in my opinion, just things that I didn't quite like as much, but overall this film I think was absolutely fantastic. It was scary, it was tense, every single second I cared about these characters and this family. Absolutely one to watch in the movie theatre, because I think the way that sound's utilised is heightened when you're in that movie theatre situation, but definitely one to see. I really enjoyed A Quiet Place. I'm really excited to see what John Krasinski does next as a director, because I think he has done a fantastic job with this one. I'm giving A Quiet Place 8.5 out of 10. I'd love to know what you guys thought of this movie, which you can pop in the comment section below. I was so tense the entire time that when the credits rolled, like I could feel my shoulders kind of drop. I'd love to know if you guys were as scared as I was. I'm an absolute baby, so you probably weren't. But pop all your comments in the comment section below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching this video. I've been wanting to make this video, not this particular video, but a video for this channel for the longest time, and I'm really happy to have something up on my channel. Obviously this is not a perfect video, I am still learning, so please be patient with me, but thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Hit the like button if you liked this video, pop a little tick on the bell if you want to see more videos from me, and I will hopefully see you guys for the next one. Caw-caw!